third downs, red area with those two guys kind of developing some chemistry. I think him taking so many reps over spring and the beginning of camp has been good for him. He's playing fast. He's not thinking. We have a good feel of some of the things that we at least want to our starting point with him and what we want to keep working with him on and see if we can really accelerate him in his growth and then give him more as time goes on. But right now I like the way they're working together. I like the way they're making plays. Ryan's throwing good, had some good throws, and then Mike's done a good job. If there's any kind of error, he's a big target that can go up and get the ball.
Adam, tomorrow we have the scrimmage coming up. What's it going to be like in terms of format? What should fans expect? And secondly, what are you going to be looking for out of that?
Really, it's the dress rehearsal for our preseason games. We try to keep everything close to what we're going to do in our preseason opener. How the players come out of the locker room, how we do things pregame, our pregame meal down at the stadium, just all those little things to where if you've been here, you've gone through it before, it's not as big a deal for you. If you're new, it's kind of like your dry run, if understanding how to get to the stadium, where do you go, where do you park, and then locker room, what we're doing, how you get, stretched out before the game, just the routine pregame with everybody on the field, who comes out when, and then when we hit the scrimmage, it's the same format we did last year, get some individual, get some 7-on-7, and we just keep it as close to the game as possible. And we do the 7-on-7 a little longer, and then when we hit kind of those team periods, all three groups will roll through, and it's really just a move the ball period. Really, it's really like practice for us. I mean, we get the headsets on. We just can't do the sideline adjustments. That's really anything missing from the whole scrimmage experience.
Any live tackling?
Yeah, I haven't really gone through it with the guys yet, so to be determined.
Well, I wanted to ask you a question about the new changes to tackling, and it seems like I've watched the video, and it's kind of vague except for you can't hit with the crown of your helmet. Do you think some of those calls, when you get into the course of the games, will be subjective, and how will that impact coaches?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's a hard question for me to answer because I haven't gone through a game this year yet. I will say this, having the officials here, we were keeping track of whether it be a thud period or live tackling in practice, to where we were wondering, is this what we're talking about, or is this good, or is this bad? And we went through that yesterday. There wasn't a ton of them, but we got some really good feedback. I think the way our coaches are coaching right now is they're doing the right things as far as we're emphasizing wrapping up, which that's what you want anyways. When we see some of these guys just throwing a shoulder in there, that's when you kind of get that head start to lower when you wrap up. You're going to see what you hit, and that's really what our point of emphasis has been, is see what you hit. Just make sure that we're not dipping our head down there, and we're not trying to overemphasize it, but those are our coaching points, and I think guys have done a really good job of trying to follow through what we're asking them to do. And really the toughest thing is when you see some of the pulls, the bigger linemen, and they try to get lower. That's where, you just have to avoid, dropping your head.
With Gase, obviously he's been around a while, so if he's out for a minute, do you think he'll be fine when the season starts?
Yeah. I'm never worried about him. I mean, we try to hold him out of practice every once in a while just because we know how hard he goes. We know how much he loves practicing. He likes every step of the way of football. And, we have to remind him of his age sometimes, that he's not 22 anymore. But he don't want to hear that. So, we try to protect him from himself almost sometimes. But, he's a warrior, man. He's an old school football player. He doesn't like missing time. He doesn't like getting special treatment. He doesn't want to have anything to do with that. And, he knows what to do. We're not worried about that. I know when Sundays come around, we know one guy for sure is going to set the edge.
Adam, after practice, your kids are out there. A lot of players are out there with their kids. What do you think that means to them? What does it mean to you? Is it beyond just take your kid to work type of situation?
I think it's, you're gone. You go such a long period of time. When you're in camp, you're not at home at night. You're staying at the hotel. it's nice to, go to work and you're on the field, and then afterwards, get your kids on the field and, be able to run around and, let them kind of have fun. I know my kids love coming out here, and, they're usually with the wideouts and hanging out with those guys. And, my son thinks he knows a lot right now, so that's awesome. So I get a lot of good information from him. He crushes me more than anybody.
How long do the kids usually stay up here? I mean,
I'd say you see most people's kids probably 30 minutes. They're here most of the time. I think towards the end of camp, a lot of people just show up later so they can see, whether it be their kids or their wives or girlfriends, after practice. So, but I think they did a good job of setting everything up to where it's good with the tents and making sure, nobody's sitting out in the sun.
Has your son supplying game plan ideas? Or
No, well, he thinks he does, but he's got like 8 guys on the. I'm like, you're missing a couple.
Adam, we've seen Gesicki time and time again make catches on contested passes in the end zone. Besides his height and his size, what special skill does he have to allow him to do that?
I think it's just one of those, you guys have seen his basketball highlights. There's guys that just can go up and get a ball and put it in the hoop. That's the same thing here. He just has unique timing. He knows how to box a guy out. He knows how to keep his position. And if a guy's draped on him, it seems like, that was the first time we saw him not get one with against Xavier today. A couple of us were calling for a flag, but, it's good, though. It's good competition. I think the corners and safeties, it's good for them because we have a guy in our division that's very tough to cover. And anytime we can get work against our own team that could carry over to Sundays, that's a plus.
Adam Brock has been better this week. Do you think some of the tweaks you made maybe have started to be reflected more consistently in his mechanics?
I think so. With Brock, sometimes it's just kind of getting in a rhythm. With him, David, and Bryce, really we're trying to give those guys all a fair shake at this thing, and they get kind of like 2 and 3 and occasionally 4, but it's just that rhythm. That's why I like some of these 2-minute periods, some of the stuff we were doing where David took 6 straight. Those are good for those guys because it starts to feel a little more like a game. I always love the looks when we're doing like call it periods, and Brock has 3 plays and I call 2 runs. That's just something that irritates those guys because they're like, hey, I only got 3 plays. Like, give me something to really do something in the passing game. So I think it's all about the rhythm. That's why I think these preseason games are going to be critical for these 3 guys. It's really going to be, all right, hey, make the most of your drives.
I saw Devontae jump up and catch one high over 2 defenders. What are some key points for him when it comes to contested balls and also improving as a red zone threat?
I think it's just the timing, fighting through, the holds, and because that's what happens is you have to you can't be held. Everything's not going to be seen. It's just when it gets tight quarters and you get a bunch of bodies around him, you got to time it out right. You got to be strong going to attack the ball and use his length, use his vertical. He has all those on paper. You have all those traits. It's just just keep repping it and put him in position as much as possible. I think we had one a couple days ago. It didn't work out. This one it was good to see him really have a tough catch because there was more defenders than there was the last time he had one of those, and to see him go up and get it, that was good to see.
Rashawn Scott had a couple of nice catches in practice. How would you evaluate his progress?
I think he's one of those guys, man. He just keeps doing his job. He stays in his book. He's really good in meetings, and he's going to give you everything he has on the field. And he fights, and the thing I love about him, he never looks at anybody else. He's not worried about, all right, where am I on the depth chart? Where do I stand? How many reps? He doesn't. He just, when he's put in there, he does everything he can to make play.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of numbers at wide receiver. What does he need to do to kind of sneak his way in there?
It's going to be the preseason games. Make plays in preseason. I got to give these guys opportunities. We have to be good up front and be able to protect in these preseason games so we can throw the ball, and mix that in with the run game. And we're doing some evaluating with the quarterback, so I mean, if we got to throw it a little more, then we throw it a little more.
With Ryan, we obviously saw the picks yesterday. He had a really good bounce back day today. Is he a guy that just, as soon as he comes off the field, it just washes it away? Or is
He's doing a better job of that. I mean, he doesn't hang on interceptions, you know, at least from what I've seen, and that's what you have to do. I mean, it's just the better ones in the league, if they make a mistake, they try not to ever repeat that mistake. I think a lot of these guys have just a long library. You know, when you see the really good quarterbacks that have played for a long time, you'll have to go back years and be like, I screwed that one up 10 years ago. You know, that's what you're hoping for when it's just you keep banking like, all right, I'm aware of that. That's not happening again. And I think he's done a good job of not letting things bother him. He knows when a guy's made a really good play. X made a really good play yesterday. And I think he just moved right on.
Adam, kickoff and punt return, or is that a preseason determination, or do you have a pretty good idea right
I think we have a good idea, but at the same time, you know, we'll give a guy's opportunity because it's just like how Drake got started. You know, we felt like Jakeem was going to be our main guy, and, you know, we kind of went with him and Drake back there because Drake earned a spot and, you know, it paid off for us. You know, it got him really going in his career.
With Juwan, what kind of growth do you want to see from him this season?
I think he really, at this stage of his career, I think he just needs to use his experience that he's gained over this time and really start maximize what he knows so now he can just use his athletic ability because he's a very good athlete. He's done a good job adjusting kind of to what he was taught the last 2 years to kind of what Jeremiah's doing now. There's a little bit of change. I think he looks really comfortable with what they're doing right now. And it's just him, Jesse getting that chemistry going together because, you know, we've seen a lot of these, you know, the league's really, that's where it's gone is all these pick games and them trying to get the guards and the tackles on different levels. And we just have to keep working on that. I think they've done a good job. They're trying to, you know, I don't know if they're quite where Laramie and Sitton are right now as far as that chemistry, but I think it's coming along and we're seeing steps, you know, throughout this camp of you know, positive improvement. So, you know, we keep doing that. You know, our line should be, you know, one of our strengths this year. I think the run game's really kind of shown up for us to where these guys are really doing a good job of getting on their blocks and sustaining their blocks.
And with some positions, obviously, you want to see different guys with the ones for chemistry reasons, offensive line, defensive line. In the case of corner, when Matt and Tony Oden, and run it by you eventually during the day, decide who would take first-team reps that next day, is it based for them and you primarily on who played the best the previous day among the guys in the mix?
Yeah, I tell the position coaches, you make the decision what you think's best for that group that day. And kind of when you get into situations, kind of like with the D-line sometimes, when you got multiple guys that are, you know, battling out for a spot, it might be who had the best day the day before. That's the starter the next day. You know, I guess I just don't get hung up with the whole starter thing. You know, to me right now it's all about reps, experience, matchups, how are we playing when the ball's thrown your way. So, I mean, we just want to keep mixing up. We want to give guys the opportunity to compete for that spot. And I think they're doing a good job of rotating that around and doing that. And, you know, we'll kind of see how it plays out.
So we to assume that Torrey McTyler, because he's got 4 days with the starters out of all the guys, has been the guy who, when you watch the film, has been the top performer.
That's so far. I mean, that's what it's been. You know, I mean, that's what those guys do. I mean, they watch the tape all day, and you know, if something changes from one day to the next, they'll make an adjustment. So it's really, he's out there right now, and unless somebody else has a better day, then he'll just keep going out there.
All right, thanks, guys.